Have you ever been right in the middle of a massive project, completely in the flow state? Maybe you're coding, or maybe you're writing this deep, complex analysis, and then, bam, usage limit reached. It is literally the most frustrating thing. You're paying for a premium AI subscription, but right when you need it most, you're locked out. One user on Reddit actually hit the nail on the head. They perfectly described this feeling, saying you're paying for Claude, but you're burning through your credits like someone who leaves the lights on in every room.
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are going to completely demystify exactly why these usage limits happen in the first place, because I promise you, it is not what most people think. But more importantly, we're going to equip you with a real, actionable survival guide. We've pulled together a step-by-step toolkit drawn directly from power users and official documentation to help you stretch your API and subscription limits up to 10 times further.
Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. First, we'll look at hitting the usage wall. Then, the secret token trap, followed by chain of draft prompting, mastering your chat context, smart file strategies, and finally, future-proofing your workflow.
Section 1. Hitting the usage wall. The myth of message caps.
So, let's bust the biggest misconception right out of the gate. A lot of people think the AI is simply counting the number of messages you send, like a text message plan from the early 2000s. It absolutely does not. AI doesn't count messages at all. It counts tokens. Think of it like this. When an AI reads a chat history, it's not like a human who organically remembers how a conversation started. It is like a human having to read a massive, dense book starting from page 1 every single time you ask them what happens on page 50.
Section 2. The secret token trap. Exponential burn.
To really understand this trap, we need to quickly look under the hood and define what we're actually dealing with. A token is the fundamental unit of AI processing cost. You can basically think of it as roughly equivalent to a single word, or sometimes part of a word. Because the AI literally has zero memory of your session between messages, it has to reread the entire conversation history from the very top for every single new message you send. So your first message might only cost a few hundred tokens. But by message 20, that exact same simple question is suddenly costing you thousands of tokens. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is exactly how fast that math sneaks up on you. A single 30-message session doesn't just cost the length of 30 messages. Because of that constant, repetitive rereading, a standard 30-message session burns a staggering, cumulative 232,000 tokens. Your context window is essentially eating your limits alive.
Section 3. Chain of draft prompting. A fast fix.
Okay, let's get into the fast fixes. One of the most popular ways to get really smart answers from AI is called chain of thought prompting. That's where you ask the AI to explain its reasoning step by step. But the problem is, that method is incredibly verbose and it burns through tokens like crazy. The new, highly efficient alternative is called chain of draft prompting. This is a minimalist approach. Instead of letting the AI write out paragraphs of explanation, you explicitly instruct it to use a maximum of 5 words per reasoning step.
So, the crucial point is the impact this has. By simply switching to chain of draft and enforcing that strict 5-word limit, you reduce your token usage by 92.4%. And honestly, the best part? Research shows this maintains 100% accuracy on complex symbolic logic tasks. You get the perfect logic with absolutely zero costly verbosity. It is a real game changer.
Section 4. Mastering your chat context. Behavioral hacks.
You really need a strict session workflow to prevent that massive token blow we talked about earlier. So here's the perfect playbook. First, do your initial planning in a basic chat, not in a heavy workspace environment. Then, when a conversation gets to around 15 or 20 messages, just stop. Ask the AI to summarize the context of the whole chat. Copy that summary, and then start a completely fresh session, pasting that summary in as your very first message. You get the full benefit of the context without the massive token cost of dragging around all that dead history.
Now, this next hack addresses a bad habit almost all of us share. You know when the AI gets something slightly wrong and your immediate instinct is to quickly type, "No, I meant," or "change this one thing"? Stop doing that. Every single follow-up adds to the history and forces another full reread. Instead, just utilize the interface. Click the edit button on your original message, change your prompt, and resubmit. It overwrites the mistake entirely and saves you a literal mountain of tokens.
Here's a real pro tip for you. If you happen to be using AI coding assistants, like Claude Code, you actually have powerful commands built right in. If you type /compact, the AI will automatically summarize your chat history. It keeps the essential project details, but it throws away all the resolved back and forth debugging noise. And if you're switching to a totally new task, just type /clear to completely wipe the slate clean and start back at 0 tokens.
Section 5. Smart File Strategies. Stop re-uploading.
And this brilliantly illustrates the quickest wins you can implement right now for your files. Because uploading files incorrectly is a huge drain. First, stop uploading heavy PDFs if you can possibly avoid it. Convert them to raw text or markdown files instead, because PDFs carry a ton of hidden metadata bloat. Second, if you use the same reference file constantly, do not upload it to every new chat. Put it in a project space so the AI caches it once, saving you from paying that upload tax over and over again. Finally, if you use standard About Me or global instruction files, fiercely edit them down to under 2,000 words. Keep it lean.
You also need to be totally ruthless about the features you leave turned on. If you are just doing a simple grammar check or asking a quick, straightforward question, turn off extended thinking, turn off web search, and disable external app connectors. Yes, they are incredible tools, but leaving them on by default injects unnecessary tokens into tasks that simply do not need them.
Section 6. Future-proofing your workflow. Permanent solutions.
Let's move to and see how this builds into long-term setups. If you are a developer, dropping a CLAUDE.md file into your project's root folder is basically magic. You document your tech stack, your build commands, and your coding conventions in this one single file. The AI reads it automatically at startup, which means you completely stop wasting tokens repeatedly explaining your background context at the start of every single session. And hey, you don't have to fly blind here either. You can proactively check your usage. Within coding environments, simply running the /cost command will instantly reveal the token amount consumed in your current session. Alternatively, you can use the free token counting API endpoint to calculate exactly how expensive a prompt will be before you even send it. This allows you to make really smart routing decisions, like switching to a cheaper model if the task is simple.
So, we've broken down the hidden token traps. We've implemented minimalist prompting, optimized our chat and file habits, and established permanent context rules. Now, it's over to you. Are you ready to stop feeding the token furnace and finally get the absolute maximum out of your AI subscriptions? Put these toolkits into practice today and watch your limits stretch further than you ever thought possible. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.